Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on ForgottenWeapons.com. I'm Ian. I'm here today at the James Julia Auction House taking a look at some of the guns that they're going to be selling in their October of 2016 firearms auction. And they have a really interesting, scarce type of M1 Garand sniper rifle here that I thought we should definitely take a look at. Now, this is a U.S. Marine Corps MC-1952 sniper, also called an MC-1 sniper with an MC-1 scope. Some redundant naming going on here. Now, the basis for this is that following World War II, the U.S. developed the M1C Garand as a sniper rifle. It had a scope mount on the side made by Griffin and Howe, and they mounted a little 2.5 power Lyman Alaskan scope, designated the M81 or M82. Now, the U.S. Marine Corps has always prided itself on its marksmanship and its rifle handling or rifle shooting capabilities, especially in comparison to the U.S. Army, if you ask them. And they took a look at the M1C and its scope and were not satisfied with it. It was a 2.5 power scope, and it was a small tube, and they wanted more light and more magnification to really exploit the capabilities of a sniper weapon better. And so in 1952, after they'd done some looking, they figured they'd found about the best scope option on the market, which was this scope made by a company called Kollmorgan. It was originally commercially marketed as the Bear Cub, and it was a larger 4-power magnification scope. The U.S. Marine Corps adopted this in 1952. Just too late to be used in Korea, but they would be in Marine Corps inventory until the 1960s. Probably saw some use in Vietnam. And it's interesting to take a look at this scope to see how it differs from that original M1C, because this is really a much better scope for a trained precision marksman. So let's go ahead and just take a closer look at that right now. So looking at the sides here, you can see that these use the exact same Griffin and Howe scope rail. The 1952 Marine Corps snipers were reworked M1C rifles. However, the actual mounting rail, or the optic mount, is much longer on the Marine Corps rifle than it is on the standard M1C. Of course, that's because the scope is set up in such a way that you need a mount out here in front of the turrets, but you can't move the scope back, so you end up with a longer, which is also a stronger and heavier duty mount there. Now, what I want to take a closer look at is this scope itself. Now, like the M1C, the scope is offset to the left, of course, so that you can still effectively load and not impede the ejection of the M1 rifle design. These scopes are marked MC1. This is a fairly early one. When sold commercially, they were marked Bear Cub, but they had special markings for the Marine Corps orders. And let's take a look at these turrets. Now, these are much larger turrets than you'd have on the standard M1C or even M1D rifles, and there are no protective covers on them. They're able to survive the elements exposed, just like this. And here's what's cool. You can hear that. I've got it at the end of full extent of its travel. These have really nice, loud, audible adjustment clicks. Now, each click is still 1 minute of angle, which would be considered a fairly gross adjustment by today's standards. Today, we're used to 1/4 minute adjustments on rifles. But this, being able to, you don't have to fumble with a little cover cap that's half this size. You don't have to unscrew anything to make adjustments. You can just grab this knob, make a couple clicks of adjustment, easily count how many, and that is much more practical and efficient for a trained precision shooter. So the Kollmorgen Scope here was a 4-power magnification scope. Had a little bit shorter eye relief than the M81 and M82 from the M1C. Had a 3 to 4 inch eye relief, which is still reasonably generous. You're not going to hit your eye on the scope on this guy either, which is nice. The Marine Corps actually bought commercial scope covers. These are called Storm Queen scope covers, and it's funny, the scope covers themselves are rare and very desirable accessories today. Despite being, this was the sort of thing you could buy at a hardware store easily back when the rifles were being purchased. Field of view on this was slightly less than the M1C because it was a higher magnification, but you had about a 30-foot field of view at 100 yards. So not that much less than the M1C because it does have a larger optics on it. Now, in original service, this probably would have been used with a leather cheek pad to bring your eye over into alignment with the scope. It also probably would have been equipped with a flash hider, although those were often taken off because if not set up just right, they did hinder accuracy. And of course the sling on this is a reproduction sling. But the rifle is a really cool example of an original U.S. Marine Corps 1952 Kollmorgan sniper. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. The 4-power Kollmorgan here, the 1952 Marine Corps sniper, is really an unusual, rare variant to take a look at. And it's neat to see how they really tried to exploit precision shooting capabilities with a better scope for this rifle. Now, if you'd like to have one yourself, take a look at the description text below. You'll find a link there to the James Julia catalog, or you can take a look at their pictures and description and place a bid online via the phone, or come up here and participate live in the auction. Thanks.